One day we were sitting in our break room, me and the guys eating lunch, and I get a message. I missed a phone call, and I get a voicemail, and I listen to the voicemail, and I have this weird look on my face. One of my guys is like, who is it? And I was like, that was Jelly Roll. He just called my phone and left me a message. And
what did he say?
Well, he was like, hey man, he calls everybody Bubba. Hey Bubba, I got your phone number from one of our other clients, Kyle. He was like, I got your phone number from Kyle, and I need some work done on one of my trucks. And he was like, he said, you're the guy to go to. Know how we got his contact. But we built one for Michael Orr, and right about the same time, we built one for Michael Griffin, who was part of the Titans. Actually became really good friends with Michael Griffin, and he's still a friend. That was when I started to realize that I can make a living out of this. I can do this permanently. It is inviting to them to come in here and not have all the knowledge and all the answers. I'll sit down and educate them. I have no problem educating somebody on, even if they don't do the build with me, but at least you go somewhere and you have some education now, and they won't screw you over potentially. Because that still runs a little rampant in this industry, whether it's mechanics or custom industry. Hi, I'm Richard McClellan, and this is Cars and Culture with Jason Stein.
Today's guest didn't just build a business. He's built a movement. With a grinder in one hand and a vision in the other, Rich has turned his childhood passion into one of the most respected custom shops around. And it's my great pleasure to have him on the program. Welcome in.
Thank you for having me. I mean, that was a great introduction. I don't even really know how to follow that up.
You could follow it up by tell us what you're up to these days. What are some exciting projects that you're working on? What is in the mind of Rich today?
Well, I'll be honest, my mind is kind of all over the place. I get inspiration from my guys, my wife, home decor, YouTube, TikTok. I mean, I get inspiration from just about anywhere and everywhere that I can imagine. I get different color schemes from looking at other things. And I'll be honest, the fashion industry, I get most of my color ideas from. And then those usually translate into home decor and then translate into cars. That seems to be the common trend. So right now we're trying to do that, trying to follow a lot of the metals and the brasses and the gold. Seems like gold is kind of coming back, but it's not your traditional like bright gold. It's like a matte gold, kind of modernized. Yep. But it's really good. We always have a really eclectic mix of cars, old school, new school, stuff in the middle. And man, if you walk into the shop, it's all over the place. There's not like one set thing.
Yeah. If we walked into the shop, how many vehicles would you be working on at any one time?
Right now, I just walked back from the shop, and there's probably 12 going on right now at this moment, but there's probably another 12 or 15 out in the parking lot. In line
waiting,
or in different stages, because our projects range from the simple, say, audio job or a radar install to a full-blown custom, year-and-a-half project, and they're just kind of all over the place. And that's what we focus on. But like right now, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead, please.
So right now we just got in on Thursday, got dropped off Jelly Roll. He just bought a brand new Raptor R. And you get the call and you're like, hey, I want this wrapped matte black and the wheels done and some lighting and of course window tint. And so you pull it in and drop it off, and it's in the middle of getting wrapped right now. So.
All right. So, Rich, you can't just drop that into the conversation. Just Jelly Roll brought his Raptor R in. I don't know what I'm more intrigued by, Jelly Roll or the Raptor R.
Well.
Wow. That's fun. How did you meet him?
So, it's a weird story. So, I've known of Jelly Roll for 15, 20 years. I've listened to his music forever. Growing up in Nashville, he's a Nashville native as well. I've listened to all of his rap music. He was a big time rapper before.
That's right.
Did country stuff. So I've been a huge fan of his for forever. And one day we were sitting in our break room, me and the guys eating lunch, and I get a message. I missed a phone call, and I get a voicemail, and I listen to the voicemail, and I have this weird look on my face. One of my guys is like, who is it? And I was like, that was Jelly Roll. He just called my phone and left me a message. And the
What did
guy,
he say?
well, he was like, hey man, well, he calls everybody Bubba. Hey Bubba, I got your phone number from one of our other clients, Kyle. He was like, I got your phone number from Kyle, and I need some work done on one of my trucks. And he was like, he said you're the guy to go to. So I was wondering if you were free today. And so I get off the phone, off of listening to my voicemail, and my guy is like, "Who was that?" And I said, "Oh, it was Jelly Roll." And a couple guys, they were like, "Who the hell is that?" Like, and one of my guys, he's about my age, and he was like, "Are you serious? Like the rapper Jelly Roll?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Call him back." So I called him back, and he was in the area still, and he swung by. And this is before he's like super popular in the
Yeah,
main.
what year was that?
It's about 5 years ago.
Okay, so he's not broken through yet, but you know of him because of the rap music, obviously.
Matter of fact, he hadn't, maybe it's closer to 6 years ago. He hadn't released his country album. Matter of fact, he hadn't even made his country album yet.
Okay, all
Uh,
right.
so we did his truck. A previous shop had done some work on it. He wasn't super happy with, so we went in and fixed it. Did some other upgrades to it and stuff like that, and that created the relationship. Then we did his wife's G Wagon, and I remember standing in the back of the parking lot, and we were talking about another car he was wanting to do, and he said, "I said, so what's going on? What are you working on?" And he goes, "I'm getting ready to release a country album," and
No way.
I was like, "What? Like
Mm,
that does not like at this point, country really hadn't gone country pop per se. It was it was still country."
yeah, no Morgan Wallen yet, or
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
So I was
Post
like,
Malone.
yeah, exactly. So I was like, what? Okay, well, good luck. And I had never heard a singing voice. I didn't know it existed. All I ever heard was the rap. And sure enough, probably 6 or 7 months later, he released this first one, and it just took off in the
Yeah,
stratosphere.
yeah.
The rest is kind of history. And he is. We've been very fortunate to stay with, build several cars for his wife. We built one for his daughter when she turned 16. We built several for him that went to the CMAs a couple times, and it's it's been an incredible ride. And he's introduced us to several other people, not necessarily artists, but like music industry guys and friends of his that he sent our way. So it's been a
That's an amazing story, Rich. That's an amazing story. And there you are on the ground floor of an artist, and there are millions of them trying to do what he ultimately did, and he's got this great loyalty to you because you knew him when, right?
You would hope so. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I he is so busy and so popular now that I don't get too much of a chance to talk. I think last time I talked to him, he stopped by right before Christmas. He stopped by the shop, and I didn't know he
Okay.
was coming. Um, but he's so busy, and he has very little time for his family now. And so when he gets that time, he spends it with his family, which rightfully so. I think anybody would. Um, but yeah, he's a great guy. I deal with his wife a lot. My wife deals with her a lot as well, and she kind of handles that stuff for him. But yeah, you'd hope so. But you can see the grind, because I knew him years and years and years prior to that. You see the grind. I worked on other things like he used to. They used to travel in these little vans, and I used to go and put GPS systems and little radios in these vans, and they
Oh, wow.
and his name would be like on the side, wrapped on the side, and with 20 other artists, and they'd sell CDs out of the back of these vans. And so, I mean, he put the work in. He put the work in, and man, he's reaping the rewards of it. So,
Well, this is serendipitous. I mean, he did, and so have you. And let's get into a bit of your story. You've been described West Coast roots and Southern hustle, and you've gone from a young car enthusiast to really customizing all of these luxury vehicles. But there are a few main things here, Rich, that fueled by grit, vision, and a relentless commitment to craftsmanship. That's pretty accurate description of you, isn't it?
I would say yes. Yeah, that's my wife from the outside looking in, doing it to me. I just love the cars. I just love building the cars, and I was very fortunate enough to make a business out of it and continue to do what I love to do. Even the entrepreneurship part of it, where it gets tough and hard with all the other stuff. At the end of the day, when I build the car and the customer comes and picks it up, because their mind can't wrap around exactly what I see, and most of them kind of somewhat cut me loose. They give me some direction, and then when they pick it up and they just love it, it just resets everything for me. Any kind of aggravation or pain that I've gone through or dealing with, employees or anything else kind of just goes away.
Melts away.
Yeah.
When did you first realize that cars were not just a hobby for you, but that they were actually your calling?
When I was about 15 years old. So I started in my first car. I got up 15. I had an alarm system put in it, and they couldn't figure out the locks. And I had a kind of a complicated car. It's called a one-wire lock system. Got into it. Guy couldn't figure it out. Had it for 2 days. I said, "Hey, can I have the schematics for it?" He said, "Sure, but I don't think you can figure it out." I took it home. 2 hours later, I brought it back. I said, "Here, I figured it out. This is how I did it." He goes, "Great. You want a job?" I said, "Sure." I enjoy doing this stuff. So electronics was my start. I understand them. I understand it very well, and I enjoy it. Like I don't have to think about it too much. It just comes to me.
What were the first cars or builds that you really got your hands dirty with that you remember?
Um,
How did this all get rolling from the start? And was this what you were going to do, or what would you have done otherwise?
well, I tried all the other stuff. When you're young, you kind of bounce around, especially as a man. You bounce around. I've done electrical work, home electrical work. I've done construction work. I built prisons when I was 17, 18 years old. I built prisons.
Wow, really?
I was actually expelled from high school when I was 17. And so
Okay.
for kind of some stupid things, I was stupid.
Okay.
Stupid. You learn a lot of lessons. And so I went to building prisons, and I realized real quickly I still worked on cars on the side. And I learned real quickly that this was not the job that I wanted to do. I didn't want to wear pants, jeans in the middle of summer at 100 degrees. I didn't want to, use porta potties for days on end. I
Mm.
just didn't want to do that anymore. And so I started to hone in. I made money where I could, but I also always worked on cars on the side. So my very first project that I ever built that I realized that I could do something with would have probably been, we did one for Michael Orr long time ago, right about when The Blind Side came out, when he got
Hmm.
transferred to the Titans.
Yeah,
I don't
right.
even know how we got his contact, but we built one for Michael Orr, and right about the same time we built one for Michael Griffin, who was part of the Titans. Actually became really good friends with Michael Griffin, and he's still a friend of mine. That was when then I started to realize that I can make a living out of this. I can do this permanently. And at the time, I worked for another shop and realized that I had more charisma and more information than, say, the shop owner, right? The shop owner was just the owner. He didn't know how to install. So he would bring me out to talk to them anyways. And they would call me and text me and ask me questions. So it was like, why do I need somebody in the middle? And with $3,000, I got my own shop and started it.
Wow.
So
Wow. How did growing up on the West Coast shape your style, do you think? I mean, it's such a cool culture, right? I mean, you spend any time in LA or the surrounding areas or California in general, and it's just different than other parts of the country. We've talked about that a lot on this show, the design influences that come from different parts of the country. But how did it change you or I guess shape you?
well, I think the customizing culture started in LA,
Right.
California.
Right.
ish,
Yeah.
the first chop tops and custom paint jobs and stuff like that. And it's funny, we were actually talking about this yesterday, me and my guys that work on cars the way that we customize cars, not just audio, but the way we customize cars, we all have this certain kind of look and aura and carry ourselves a certain way. We usually wear like Dickie pants, Dickie shorts, have tattoos, and we all have this way about us, right? And I think California, when I was born there, and I was there till I was about 10ish, and then I moved to Las Vegas and was there till I was about 15ish, 14ish. And so I got to experience a lot of that, right? I got to experience the people. I got to experience the cars. I always loved cars. And my grandfather built cars, loved cars. And I think that gave me a different flair than it did out here. Because when you come out here, I mean, not to stereotype the South, because I love the South, not to stereotype it, but you're talking about the jacked up trucks and the jacked up Jeeps and
Yeah. Right.
mudding and all that, right? That's what is known out here. And so when you come from California, you don't really know about that. They don't mud out there, and maybe they do now, but back then they didn't mud and do all that stuff. So you bring this whole different type of culture here, and I can marry them together and create something right in the middle that everybody can appreciate from both sides of the coast, kind of. So,
And Elite Customs, I mean, the formation of it, did you always have a plan, or was it more about adapting kind of in real time? Because I mean, there are a lot of custom shops that are out there, very few at your level, Rich. So what was the plan, or did it just evolve?
there's not much of a plan. The plan was to just get into it and start doing it, right? And I think you have to reinvent yourself all the time, because new things come out, new cars come out, new designs come out, new styles come out. Things change so much, so rapidly. Like, the big thing right now is black wheels. Everybody wants black wheels.
Yep.
Well, it's starting to evolve from that, and people are now going back to chrome, which
Ah,
chrome
interesting.
went away for a long time,
Yeah,
So
it did.
you have to be able to evolve. And I think if you don't evolve, I tell my guys all the time, and you guys can teach me stuff too, even though I've been doing this 25 years, and some of my guys are 2 years in, 3 years in, I can still learn stuff because they see stuff at a different angle. So we have morning meetings every day, every month morning, and I let my guys speak on what we're doing, what we're building, and I hear them. I don't just shut them down. You know, I want to hear what their side sees, because some of them are younger than me, and they might see a different thing that I just can't see because of my age or block or whatever it might be. But you have to evolve. You have to be able to bend and move, and you can't stay static. You can't.
And how do you balance? I mean, this is on business radio on Sirius XM, and a lot of business owners out there, leaders who are always balancing creativity with the demands of running a business. You're in the most creative business in automotive. I mean, you take it, you mold it, you sculpt it, and you make it into a beautiful product. But you got to run a business, and usually both sides of the brain don't work in that way, right? It's a tough dance, isn't it, Rich?
Oh God, by far. I'll tell you, the hardest thing for me to do was to realize that I'm only good at a few things. And the
Mm,
business side of it, per se, like the paperwork and the taxes and the, this and the that, I'm not the best at that. When you first open a business, you kind of have to wear all the hats. And the hardest part for me was to let go of some of those things because of trust. And are they going to do it as good as I can do it? Do they have my best interest at heart? Do they have the best, the business's best interest at heart? I'm so fortunate, one, to be in such a creative platform that I can release my creativity. But I'm also very fortunate to have my wife. My wife, her mind thinks that way. So I'm able to go, here, you handle all of this stuff and you take care of all this stuff, and I'll take care of the customers and the consults and the projects, and we're good. We make the best team ever. Now, do we butt heads? Oh God. do we butt heads? You know, it's hard working with your wife, but I think if you can find those people that really have your best interest and understand those things, and you're able to let go a little bit, to let go of some of those responsibilities and realize that you can't be good at everything. You're just not good at everything. That was a hard pill to swallow for me. Big one.
What's something that you wish you knew when you were starting out and building this brand that you have now?
I think more structure, more. I just had a situation about a month ago where I had to call an old customer of mine because I found out that he was taking his cars to another shop, and me and him had a long relationship, 4 or 5 years of building cars and stuff. And so I called him up, and we were friends, but I had never heard anything negative or positive, whatever. And I called him up and I asked him, say, "Hey man, what's going on? Did I do something, that rubbed you the wrong way or whatever?" And he goes, "Well, to be quite honest with you, he's like, I felt like the changes that you made in the shop in the front side didn't align with what they were originally, and I just felt like my business wasn't appreciated." So I tried to listen to my customer and see what he was saying. And, I said, "Man, I really apologize that I made you feel that way. And that I had to make these changes in the front of my shop because basically what was happening is guys like that I've known for 10 years or 5 years or 12 years would just stop by and stop in the back of the shop. And then we'd sit and talk for 15, 20 minutes, and it'd take me away from doing the business that I had to do."
Sure, sure.
So I had to start setting consults and appointments and things like that, which works great for me. But the old guys that are used to the old ways didn't adapt very well. And they felt like I was neglecting them per se. And so I had to explain that to him. And he owned his own construction company and stuff like that. And I explained it to him in a way that he could understand. And he goes, "You know what? I apologize." He's like, "You're right. I understand things change." And he came in last week, him and his son. He bought his son a new truck, and we're building a $20,000 truck for him now. And I think, again, another pill to swallow is being able to not just throw your hands up and go, "Oh well," to listen to your customer. Take the little bit of time, even if it's a shot at your ego.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. I mentioned the word brand, and I think that applies to Elite Customs. And how did you position Elite Customs to attract premium clients as you worked your way through the growth that you went through?
Well, several of the projects that we built, get a lot of attention, especially who they're for. I really try to befriend the majority of my client base if I have the opportunity, especially if we do multiple projects. So when I befriend them, they have zero problem coming representing me at a car show, or dropping the car off to let me take it to a car show, or posting on social media about us, things like that. And of course, their friends that are high profile follow them and ask questions. "Hey, where'd you get that car built?" And they have zero problem going, "Oh yeah, yeah, go see my guy at Elite Customs." Matter of fact, that's how I met Jelly Roll, right? So I think that's how I did it. Most of my business is word of mouth. We do have the social medias and stuff like that my wife runs, but that's only been in the past 3 years, 3 years or so, and I've been open for almost 11. My sign, I have a little sign out front, and I don't advertise much about anything else. We park our cars in the back. I try to keep a low enough profile where people don't just stop in to see Jelly Roll's car per se.
Right, right.
Yeah, the other clients, high profile clients that we have, but it works well for me. It works well. The word of mouth works well. Like I said, I try to treat. Do I get it right all the time? No, but I try my best to treat any customer that comes in, whether they're famous or not, treat them the same. And I think it's worked very well for me.
When you scale a niche business, like you've done over the last nearly 11 years, why is that customer experience and detail? Why are those two elements so key in the scaling process? And how are you doing that, I guess, as a follow-up?
Tennessee is weird, but I don't think it's so weird. this is a big, small world. I go, I
Yeah.
could, I could travel. Just a few months ago, I traveled to Michigan and I ran into two people I knew from Tennessee in
Yeah.
Michigan.
Right.
It's like it's this big, small world, and you run into people, and if you have negative things to say about somebody, or they have negative things to say about you, and that'll hit 10 people before a positive thing will hit one. And it's so again, do I get it right every time? No, absolutely not. But I think having those swallowing your pride a little bit, having some of those hard conversations with some customers that may be upset with you or whatever, and trying to understand their point of view from also your point of view, I think it gives you tools. It gives you tools to adjust your business, adjust your customer service. I also think the world has lost a lot of customer service.
Yeah.
There's a
That's
lot
so
of
true, isn't it? Yeah.
connection. People don't even want to really talk on the phone much anymore. That's one reason we have the consoles. People email in with inquiries, and some of them you can't just answer. They're not that simple, and so we have to set them up a consult. I give them an hour of my undivided attention, and I sit with them and I show them options on the computer. And hey, we could do this, we could do that. I try to learn their style quickly, efficiently, and give them exactly what they're looking for that they don't even know they're looking for per se.
Mm,
So
yeah, for sure. Let's talk about your team. What and also the second half of the title of this program, which is culture. What kind of team culture have you built at Elite Customs, and what do you look for when you're bringing someone into the fold?
to be honest, this is could be an unpopular opinion, but I like to bring guys in that don't really know a lot about my world because I want them to learn a certain way, my way per se. I want them to learn a certain way, what I think is the correct way. And breaking bad habits in people that have been at shops for years is has proven to be very difficult. Now I have a couple guys that are experienced and they more or less per se fall in line, but two or three of my guys are fresh. They're green. They've been with me 2 years. They started with me only, and they do it exactly the way I do it. But I give them enough freedom to explore ideas, right? To explore, hey, if I did it this way instead of your way, it might be more efficient, might look better. Great. But if it fails, now you do it my way. Okay, no problem. So I give them enough, per se, enough rope to hang themselves or not.
Right.
you know, and I think that works out very well. We have a really good culture. Something I started years ago. My wife, mentioned it about, hey, maybe we should do this. So every Friday, if we're here on Fridays, everybody sits in the lunchroom together and we buy lunch. So we buy lunch every Friday. We all sit together and eat lunch, and we pay for it. And I think it brings in something that probably most places don't do, and my guys seem to appreciate that a lot. Even if
For
they have their
sure.
families, like during the summertime, the kids are here. We don't mind kids being here; doesn't bother us. So they bring their kids. The kids eat lunch with us too. You know, we
Yeah.
throw we throw barbecues and stuff at the house, and we invite all of our guys, and we swim and throw cornhole, and you know just have a good time. And it creates this family environment. And I know a lot of businesses talk about family, but most don't follow it.
Right. Right. Exactly. No, you're following it in more ways than one, and on every Friday. um, if you think about the mentors that you had along the way, who would those be, or did you just prefer to learn by doing?
Most of what I've got, I've learned by doing. I do have a couple of clients that have become sort of mentors. I wouldn't call them, they don't actually like that term. I don't know why, but they have become kind of that. I kind of follow leads. One of my really good friends, his name's Roger, and we've built probably 35 cars for him over 2 or 3 years. 4 years,
Wow.
maybe.
Wow.
Yeah, but we've became, and I'm talking high profile, like $100,000 plus builds on top of his expensive cars. But we've become such good friends when we travel. Like we go to Florida with him and his wife. I was in his wedding. Me and my wife were in his wedding. Uh, um, I mean, we do things all the time together, and he is a very savvy businessman, a very good man, good father, good husband, and he is a huge inspiration to me of
Mm.
how to act. This man is worth hundreds of millions of dollars, but you would never know it because no matter who you are, how you're dressed, how much money you have, he treats everybody exactly the same, and
Mm.
he is a very consistent person, and I enjoy that so much, and it's a huge inspiration to me.
Sounds like a great show guest here.
Right? He, and he's funny as hell. He's funny as hell.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Um, just in the final 10 minutes that we have, let's talk a little bit about the future and maybe what you're thinking is, what's the next step? Would you ever consider bringing your work to TV or streaming platforms? We've had numerous guests on this program who are designers or who are in your world who also have some more high profile things on the side, custom car shows, documentaries, behind the scenes storytelling. Would you ever consider things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we actually filmed a pilot a couple years ago, a year and a half ago, when we built the Lincoln Continental for Jelly Roll that went to the
Okay.
scene. So we actually paid out of our pocket to film this, and it is being pitched to people more of a not a car building show. Like there's tons of car building shows, but more of the way me and my wife interact and our families interact. And my sister in law works for us as well. She's a front end manager. And so the way that all that acts, it's more of like a family, but happens to be set in a car world. And it's really good. And then since then, we've added a couple of more businesses like we actually opened our own powder coat company, which is in house as well, just because we got tired of sending it out and not getting the quality product back. So we
Mm-hmm.
just bought the equipment and did it ourselves. So now we own I think total four businesses, me and my wife together, and she runs them all and manages them all, and I manage the labor part of it back in the back. And so that's kind of our future of building that up, of building those companies up, and letting them thrive and potentially selling them or not, or having somebody else run them eventually. We own our own rim company too, so we make and develop and design our own rims, and they come in. They're very very strong, and we design them. Each one we sit down with the customer and design it, and then have it cut and made, and we get it within 60 days built. So
What does growth look like for Elite Customs? Let's say over the next 5 years. Is it more builds or is it new locations, maybe?
we are working towards that. We're looking for our own land. The building that we're actually in, we lease it, and we've been in this building about 8 years. And the owners are friends of ours, and they're great great people. But we are looking for our own land to build our own building, just so we have that. I mean, I think it's a really smart business move to own your own building because then you have that
Yep.
as well, right, to fall back on. But yeah, I mean, that's our building plans for the next 5 years is to own our own building. Not necessarily more projects. We've got enough projects on our hands already as it is. I would say more higher profile projects, not people, but bigger builds, like larger time consuming builds that put us on the map more, right? They're not just your everyday G Wagons or your everyday cars driving around town. These are cars that only get taken out on the weekend, that go to shows and really turn heads. And I
Right,
would
right.
that.
Do you feel a responsibility, Rich, to inspire younger builders or creators coming up behind you? Are you looking to that next generation?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, I started when I was 15 years old in this industry per se, and it evolved from there. And some of our young guys that work for, I think one of them's 18, one of them's 22, and they started with us years ago, and I love to be able to teach that knowledge because one day that knowledge might be obsolete. and it might go away. And I'd love to pass whatever knowledge that I have down to the younger generation. And me and my wife have actually talked about going into either technical schools or even high schools for that matter, because I went down a little bit of the wrong path as a young man. I got arrested at 18, and God saved my life, and I didn't, I didn't serve any time or catch any felonies or anything like that. I was able to get myself out of it and realize quickly that, hey, this is the wrong way to go, and turn my life around. Some of these kids don't necessarily have that. Um, they don't have that opportunity, and I'd love to present that opportunity. Hey, there's something more you can do. You don't have to be a construction worker. You don't have to work at a desk. You can get your creativity out on a car. And a lot of young guys, especially guys, love cars. We are starting to see more females like their cars customized, which is a big direction that me and my wife are headed in right now. Is matter of fact, we deliver one today. It's a G wagon for Aaron Forsberg. That is her husband plays for the Preds, and we fully customized it. But we sat down with her and she designed the whole thing. A little bit of our help, but she designed the caliper color, the wrap color. She designed our custom forged wheels. We did the whole build with her, and this is her project, and it's really cool to see a female come into a male dominated industry and produce something that men would drive too. They'd be like, that's bad. That's an
Yeah.
old car. We really want to run that direction as well, because I think females are, well, there's a big stigma. There's a big stigma in the automotive industry with females.
Yeah, of course.
They
Yeah,
come in and feel like they're going to get taken advantage of.
yeah. What long ago we had Ferrari custom mechanic Victoria Bruno on this program, who's done extremely well, and she was one of only 10, I think, or 12, supreme Ferrari mechanics, um, customizers who worked on that brand, and it was just an inspiring story. And there are so many other young people out there like that. So let's talk to the young person who's out there who's 15 years old or 18 years old and maybe building prisons instead of sitting in one. What advice do you give to the kid who loves cars and wants to build something but maybe doesn't know where to start?
Sure. So I started working on my own car. If I broke something on my car, it was my car. The pull apart yards, they're great. They're great. Great places to go. You can pull parts. You can work on parts. You can work on cars. When I came up, Google wasn't available to me, and YouTube wasn't available to me. So they have a lot of information at their fingertips that they can utilize. And then also, don't be afraid to come into some of these shops, some of the custom shops that are around, and go, hey, listen, I want to learn. I want to intern. I want to know about this. Or, can I pay you guys to install this, but can I help, or can I watch? Or, we have done that several times with younger guys that want to come in and just kind of know about it, right? Learn about it. And I take a lot of pride in that. I have three sons, and our oldest son just started driving, and we bought him a BMW on purpose that needed work, needed leaked oil and needed brakes and tires and all this stuff. And I made him learn how to do it all. I taught him, but he did all of the work himself, and he has so much more pride driving his vehicle and telling people about his vehicle because he put his hands on that vehicle. So
Amazing, amazing. Um, how do you continue to overcome doubt while maybe daring to do what others say is impossible?
it's a difficult question. My wife. My wife.
Well, that's a great answer.
When I doubt myself, or I get down on myself, or something's just kicked me in the teeth, my wife usually will bring me back up. She'll be like, listen, you've got to focus on these things, these positive things that you're doing already. You can't focus on those negative things, because the positives far outweigh the negative. And that usually, have a few minutes to sit with myself, and she's right. As much as I hate to admit that, she's right. And I that helps me. That brings me peace and joy, and clarity.
Yeah. What are you most proud of as you reflect back on a decade and more, and the journey to get from prison building to here?
My kids, my family, I mean, I couldn't do any of this without it. My wife, a lot of times if I have to work late, she's at home making dinner, taking care of the kids, taking care of the animals, whatever. And, I'll work late. I can work late. I can work 9:30, 10 o'clock at night and make sure the job gets done to provide for my family. But if my family's not there or being taken care of, then that just puts a whole different level of stress on me. I know I don't have to worry about my family at home because they're taken care of.
Yeah. Yeah. Wonderful answer. A final thing for the audience who, members who may not know, what sets Elite Customs apart? Why Elite Customs and not others?
The honest answer, I believe personally, and this is from customers' testimonials, is customer service.
Yeah.
And we don't get it right every time, but we're from customers, we're inviting. Our place is inviting. It's not, doesn't put off a lot of masculine energy per se. It's softer. It is inviting to them to come in here and not have all the knowledge and all the answers. I'll sit down and educate them. I have no problem educating somebody on, even if they don't do the build with me, but at least you go somewhere and you have some education now and they won't screw you over potentially. Because that still runs a little rampant in this industry, whether it's
right
or custom industry. So
it's a lost art form, isn't it? I mean, sorry to say that, but customer service, as you said earlier in the interview, whether it's talking on the phone or just dealing with people one-on-one, we seem to have lost our way as it relates to that as a society. You're putting it back in.
I'm trying every day. I'm trying every day. I try my best to put on the best face I can and the best information that I can and give the best I can do. The girls up front, they're fantastic. My sister-in-law, and we have another receptionist up front, Crystal. They're great. I mean, they talk to these customers like they're their best friends and make them feel so wanted and comfortable. And I mean, they just take their time with them, and I think that's what people are missing, especially our generation per se. I'm 42 years old. That's what we kind of came up. We're used to that, and when it goes away, it's like, man, where did it go to shit, and I want the younger generation to see that too. And I think communication is a big, big key, not text messages. Text messages get misconstrued a lot. And it bothers me.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
I'm that guy. I'll pick up the phone and call you. And my sister-in-law gets mad at me. She's like, you got to have some kind of paper trail to go back on what's said. And I was like, I get it, but you can't relay what you need to relay.
Right. Exactly. Right.
So it's a fine line.
Your story really blends entrepreneurial savvy, creative artistry, and your own take on car culture. And we really appreciate you sharing that with our listeners today. And I think whether you're a gearhead or a business owner, you learned something from this conversation. So for that, we thank you. And let us know the next time an artist is going to pivot hard in a certain genre, because we'll get on board that artist before he does it, because your track record is phenomenal.
Well, thank you, Jason. I really appreciate you having me on here, and I appreciate your listeners a lot. It has been a wonderful interview, and I look forward to talking to you in the future.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much.